Before leaving for Bree, I checked my mailbox. I was slightly concerned as to how my mail was so reliably reaching me. The postmen here were either unnaturally canny, or my actions were making noticeable ripples. I had 2 letters. Dawn Appledore believed I required more training, presumptuous indeed, and I had received a painting. It seemed somewhat untimely to be purchasing real estate, so for the meantime I just slotted it right into my pocket. Making a habit of reading other people's posts, I was curious to find out how well Watcher Redweed had described my temperament and Humphrey and I's effect on the troubles Staddle had faced. It was certainly missing some key aspects, but he had relayed my subduing of the goblins, the main task he had asked of me. Bree displayed a mixture of utility and aesthetics, with its thick walls of hedging, both defensive yet pleasing on the eye. There were guards on duty, yet the Staddle gate remained open for my arrival. Bree. It was said to have been founded by men who did not make it to Beleriand in the First Age. Having forsaken their relatives who had become the Edain, they remained in Eriador. After the kingdom of Cardolan collapsed after the war with Angmar, Bree became an independent city without any central authority or government for many centuries. My revelry in the majesty and splendor of this great city was immediately bottlenecked by a well-placed guard. Tal Greenshoot correctly identified me as an adventurer and opened up conversation with a barrage of flattery. According to him, the town was being assailed by all sorts of issues, and there was no time for a tour, and navigation of the bureaucracy through the mayor to extrapolate the most pressing matters was to be too timely. Therefore, he directed me toward Barlaam Butterbur, the proprietor of the Prancing Pony Inn. I walked the wide streets in awe. Buildings towered around me, each competing to display their architectural superiority. Greenery bloomed in all the available spaces to counter the otherwise dominant grey of the expertly cobbled stone and white from the wattle and daub walls slathered with well-weathered limewash. The rich yellow glow suffusing the night, and the numerous chimneys steadily blowing smoke into the stars created a homely environment. I had anticipated overwhelming crowds and noise, but this was a pleasant introduction into city life. Embittered at Dawn Appledore's doubts toward my training, I decided to set things straight with her.
Greetings. Would you do something for me?
She had encouraging words, and I supposed there was truth in what she said. My potential was yet to be realized, and there was room for me to grow. Hazel Kenton was reputedly a warrior like me, who had also fought the brigands. If she truly had leadership qualities, then our meeting would be beneficial. As I further explored the settlement, I noticed a small crowd gathered around a woman named Tad Ashmead.
Will you give me a moment of your time, friend?
She emphasized Bree's struggle in taking in new settlers, fleeing the troubles in the south. This was not news to me, as Lolo Wendingway had already mentioned it, but Ashmead informed me of a new settlement being built within a stone's throw of Bree. To inquire further, I was told to seek out Nan Henwood. Am I intruding on something? Henwood was located in the broker's office. Inside was a little cramped, as it seemed half of Middle-earth had become a broker, and while buying a house was low on my list of priorities, I did have Sarabeth Lowbank's work order to deliver.
Hello there.
Henwood then requested I take something to Bill Twiggins at this new town.
What can I do for you?
She advertised property in this new community well, and the other brokers all vied for my attention, but I was rapidly becoming overstimulated. To avoid paralysis by overanalysis, I simply left the office. The town hall struck an imposing facade, but I found the interior pleasant, light and well-structured. The mayor, Graham Tenderlarch's office was in disarray.
Stay a moment.
And his focus was directed at a place called Trestlebridge, apparently a tempting target for orc raiders and brigands. He wished me to lend my aid in its defense. I was untested against orcs, and Trestlebridge was a long way away, but it was good to keep informed. As I passed the trader's gate, I noticed second watcher Heathstraw standing at attention.
What do you need? Greetings.
Yes, Wendingway mentioned the increased number of migrants. New blood, sure, an odd way to put it. Not of my quality. Heathstraw thanked me for the aid performed against the goblins in Staddle. His opinion on the people escaping the machinations of war to seek refuge in Bree was questionable. Combined with his appearance, he made for a somewhat disturbing figure.
How can I be of service?
But I had brought the report as requested. Briefly stopping by the Three Farrow crafting hall, I met Osir Stouthammer.
Might you lend me an ear?
It was refreshing to see another dwarf amidst the bustle of craftspeople and the heat of the forge, and he held true to his race by immediately criticizing the guard's armor. Having gained some experience in metalsmithing, I was happy to craft him a set of bronze armor and a buckler. Unfortunately, I had just used all my bronze attempting to create higher quality leggings for myself. But I would return.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Yes, my lady, how may I aid? More houses. Surely there are bigger problems. Fine, yeah, I'll keep it in mind. Yes, thank you. Now this is a pressing issue. Interested parties, count me in. While wandering the perimeter of the market square, I stumbled across a posted note. A man named Sig Mandrake had need for interested parties to help prepare a delicious stew. I noted his address and continued on. A bulletin board showed that there was interest in the delivery of blackened filth and mossy carapaces. Of course, I always held on to my blackened filth, so turned in a good amount.
What can I do for you?
Nothing so vividly illustrated the wealth and diversity of a town like Bree as Lalia's market. I was almost taken aback upon entry. Luxurious carpeted floors, grandiose chandeliers, expertly manicured flower beds and shrubbery, and a wide range of vendors exuded a calming yet prosperous center of business. A little further into town, I finally found the Prancing Pony Inn. Upon arrival in Bree, weary travelers will want to make for the Prancing Pony, one of the town's oldest and most popular inns. The distinctive sign of a rearing, fat white pony marks the large building with its inviting arched entrance and pleasant courtyard, although it is likely that the sign will not be entirely necessary, as most seasoned travelers can direct those new to town to the pony, as it is commonly known. The Prancing Pony is owned and operated by Barlam and Butterbur, the latest in the generations of Butterburs who have looked after the old inn with great care. Mr. Butterbur is assisted by two hobbits, Nob and Bob, who help with all matters from greeting guests to preparing rooms and food, to looking after patrons' horses in the inn's stables. Although traffic along the major roads that intersect at Bree has diminished greatly over the years, the Prancing Pony remains the center of news and tales from far distant lands, as it has for as long as anyone can remember. The interior was warm and welcoming. Butterbur was friendly but definitely prone to rambling. Amidst the word salad, I was able to decipher three main pieces of news. A friend of his, Adzo Haybank, was in need of assistance west of the town. He was attempting to build an inn there. Buckland was a settlement inhabited by hobbits. They were having troubles from the old forest, and while eager to help, I was more interested in the opportunity to see Celandine Brandybuck again. Butterbur described her as sweet, which only reminded me of her fiery disposition. Finally, he referred to Chief Watcher Grimbiar. He was north of Bree and was tending to some brigands, but would appreciate any help. His attitude towards Strider was not reassuring. His distrust and wariness was palpable. I suppose Strider was a little brooding, but those who had seen what the Rangers of the North had would be. I placed Butterbur's nervousness on his own ignorance. It was harmless, and I was mainly glad to learn of Strider's whereabouts. Butterbur also gifted me a sword. Having already crafted myself a shield, I was keen to practice a more defensive fighting style, and would no longer need such large, cumbersome weapons.
Your tidings are grim.
Strider was all business.
There was little time to waste.
Most likely he was fed up with the strange dancing man in his room. He saw the need for Amdir to be stopped and spoke of a Dowerhand's lord and the captain of the Nine. Beginning to get lost in his far greater knowledge of lore, I was thankful for his actionable plan.
Are you ready to leave?
Another Blackwold camp was under a sinister influence. He believed this is where Amdir and this dwarf lord had gone.
Strider and the Rangers pursue their fallen brother Amdir to the Blackwold's camp. But not all is as it seems.
It was there, under the cover of darkness, that Amdir's life must be ended.
There is evil afoot.
The camp was none other than Ost Baranor. A chill of fear certainly enshrouded the ruins. Strider thought it best to split up. 2 other rangers were present. Torthan and I would search for Amdir, while he and Lenglin looked for another entrance.
Are you ready?
Two brigands quickly ran out of the camp, and I could tell something was amiss. It felt as if the Blackwolds were out of their depth. The 3 of us seized on the confusion and battled our way through the camp.
Silently now, darkness approaches.
The same site where Humphrey and I had slain Jasper Mudbottom, the source of Falco Greenhand's garden troubles, was where we came face to face with the Dwarf Lord. In comparison, the stakes now couldn't have been higher. To my horror, the dwarf summoned a terrifying wight, a fell skeletal figure. Fear only overtook me for a brief moment. Torthan remained unwavering, and his bravery spurred me to action. If he believed this monstrosity could be felled, then I would stand side by side with him and do what I must.
Stay a moment.
With a new enemy added to my rapidly increasing list of defeated foes, I followed Torthan with a surge of confidence. He was as discombobulated as I concerning the dwarf and his strange powers, but we pressed forward, hoping to find Amdir. While Strider and Lenglin bravely followed the Nazgul, it was left to the 3 of us to finally deal with the cursed man at the helm of the Blackwold Brigands. In my mind, he had become a figure of nightmarish proportions, but due to the gravity of all that had occurred just moments ago, he already seemed smaller, dimmer, and more pathetic. I saw him for who he was, a worm doing his master's bidding. Amdir had been remade and renamed as Kargul. On the very same altar that had displayed his rebirth, we sent his spirits beyond the confines of this world. Finally, the threat he posed was no more, and his soul was free from the dark clutches of the enemy.
It's a sorry day. It's a sorry day.
The Nazgul have crossed the Eisen and are heading for the Shire. the hobbits must be quick-footed enough to escape the wrath of the Nine. And we can only hope that Frodo slips through the traps of the enemy.
Alas for Amdir.
On my return to Strider and the Prancing Pony, I grieved with him for the loss of Amdir. Strider spoke of matters unknown to me, and I was beginning to feel embroiled in something much larger than my own selfish ends. My desire for a great adventure was falling to the wayside. It would be a byproduct of the aid required of me.
I have a task for you.
Strider was also curious as to the nature of the Dwarf Lord. He claimed dwarves were by nature honorable and unable to be dominated by the will of any. Another win for nurture, I supposed. His main concern was the Nazgul. He had to take his leave and watch the East Road for travelers. I wondered whether these were the hobbits he had initially intended to rescue when he found me, what felt like a lifetime ago. As for me, I would speak again with Constable Underhill in Cone. Strider suggested we investigate the Blackwolds' hideout. We might learn more with the villains in such disarray.
What road did you take, Frodo? The Ringwraiths ride openly in the Shire, but there are places which are even more terrible and dangerous. If you choose the path I fear, search for the light in the darkness.
Oh, good day.
Underhill was joyed to hear of the degradation of the Blackwolds.
Might I have a word with you?
While hesitant to investigate their hideout, he eventually caved and agreed to accompany Humphrey and I.
Amdir's defeat shattered the back of the Blackwolds, but pieces of the mystery remain unsolved.
Goodness.
Underhill was a skittish man, eager to leave at the first sign that the hideout may not be occupied. But I would have none of it. We needed to be thorough. I could not have those who had caused so much fear and pain regroup or survive in any way, shape, or form. Nika-breakers. Excellent. I'm so glad I spent an age of my free time farming through hordes of you for a wretched title. My meticulousness was rewarded. The Dwarf Lord was in the hideout. I managed to catch the tail end of an argument between him and a Blackwold. My earlier sentiments were correct. A rift had been opened between the traditional brigands, there to loot and harass the local populace, and the more malicious servants of the enemy. I even heard one of the brigands refuse to swear fealty to Angmar. The Dwarf Lord had brought other dwarfs with him though, so we hacked our way through.
Can't you leave me to my misery?
The Blackwold confirmed my suspicions. They had parted ways with Angmar and joined up with an ugly bunch of new fellows from the south. The Dwarf Lord was here to punish those that remained. It was a bitter end to the Blackwolds. A glimmer of morality had been demonstrated through the man's refusal. I only hoped that others, like Covell Woodwright, who had run from his mother seeking solace within the organization, now had an opportunity to break free.
Just a moment.
Constable Underhill was of the same mind, but unfortunately the Dwarf Lord had escaped. The Blackwolds were well and truly finished.
The rangers which once guarded the borders of the Shire have been scattered or slain. Frodo has left the Shire, but great perils await him in Bree. I am too late. Someone must find him before the Nazgul.
Can I take a moment of your time?
I had done what I had initially set out to do, but whether due to the chill I could still feel after seeing the evil sorcerer's totems, or simply because a new host of threats had been revealed to me, I did not find the satisfaction and relish in my revenge.
We must move quickly.
While I had been away, Strider had found the 4 hobbits he was looking for. To my surprise, the Nazgul had dared to enter the Prancing Pony and attack, attempting to find the hobbits under Strider's protection. Thankfully, they were safe, but Strider could not tell me more of his and their true purpose and movements.
I need your aid.
He informed me that there were actually 9 of these Black Riders, or Nazgul. 4 were unaccounted for. Lenglin had been sent to watch over a hobbit in Buckland, so Strider needed me to find out if he knew any more. Before leaving Bree, I decided to quickly run around the outskirts of the town and see if any others required my help.
Could I take a moment of your time?
Lily Sandheaver was preoccupied with her social standing. To maintain it, her pottery collection built from the ruins of the Kingdom of Arnor had to remain larger and of higher quality than that of Mirabella Underhill. Kandak Brightwood was her supplier. She had not heard from him in some time and worried for his well-being, but mainly I thought for her next delivery. I made note of his location, but as it was far to the east, past the Midgewater marshes, I was in no hurry.
What do you need?
I then found Hazel Kenton, the woman who may be able to help me develop leadership qualities. A guardian of Bree named Hilton Harper had been humiliated by a formidable brigand from Brigand's Watch, Aldous Oatbearer. Harper had been spared but his badge stolen. If I could return it, it might shake Harper out of his misery, hopefully inspiring him to rejoin the defense of Bree-land.
Could I speak with you a moment?
Located in a small tent, I found Thomas Thistlewall. He was part of some strange sort of referral program and directed me toward Tad Leafcutter. He was looking for adventurous types.
Would you do something for me?
Secondly, like Lily Sandheaver, he was also interested in the ruins of Arnor. To save coin, he had employed a man from the south, who was now using his name. Unfortunately, this man owed a great deal of coin to the proprietor of the Forsaken Inn. Thistlewall needed me to take a letter to Anlaf the Forlorn at the inn before word reached the guilds in Breetown. This was all located near where Sandheaver needed help, so I tied the two tasks together. Following my nose through the Ironmonger's Gate and into the Stone Quarter, a dwarven section of the town, I found Sig Mandrake's shop, the man who needed help with his stews. The intoxicating aroma emanating from the building made me unsure as to why he would need help, but was curious to find out anyway.
How can I be of service?
Mandrake had received a larger than usual order of turtle soup, and required a large amount of, he was very specific about this, tiny turtles from the northern bank of Hale Catch Lake. I felt confident that I had scoured Breetown in search of all those who needed my help. The town had left a strong impression on me, and I was glad that this next chapter of my adventure should center around it. In a settlement of this size, I felt confident that Humphrey and I would make a reputable name of ourselves, heightening the stakes of our questing and opening doors to more powerful contacts and eventually exotic locations. The trade-off for this was obvious, but our recent victories over Amdir, then named Kargul, and the White made me feel readier than ever to deal with more menacing and sinister threats.